everyone's starting to pop on here really fast. That's great. Okay, so welcome. As you guys join in, thanks for joining us today on our joint agency or joint, I can't speak today, on our joint association meeting today. If you can, go ahead and use the chat box for any communication with us today. You're welcome to put who you are, where you're from, say hello in the chat box. We'd love to see who's all here. And again, I'd like to welcome everyone to a very special joint association meeting today. This November session is co-hosted by APWA, ASCE, and the Arizona Association of County Engineers. So welcome everybody. I'm Kristen Kittler, your APWA president this year, and joining me is Stephanie Templeton, ASCE's president. So again, as you sign in, you're welcome to use the chat box just to introduce yourself. Make sure that you have checked all panelists and attendees so everybody can see you in here. And then this will also be the location where you'll put all of your questions to the panel members as we go through. So after our respective HWA and ASCE announcements, we'll move into today's session about the future of transportation from the perspectives of MAG and the Phoenix Sky Harbor, as well as an update of the ASCE 2020 Infrastructure Report Card. And again, if you have any questions, then please do so in the chat box. We'll monitor it throughout, and we'll have an opportunity at the very end to answer questions to all the panel members. But if we see any pop up in between and there's a good opportunity, we'll ask the panel member at that time. So as far as announcements for APWA, we have some new sponsorship opportunities, and we're moving into a new fiscal calendar. We wanted to match up our sponsorship opportunities to that. So we're now offering a 6-month sponsorship, and there's a lot of new opportunities in there. So this is, you'll see it on your screen right now, but you'll find this information on our website as well. And then this year, also in lieu of an in-person holiday event, APWA's Christmas party will be held virtually. And so look out for more details coming soon. We're circling around, it says December 15th, but we just found out we have the same date as ASCE. So we'll move it to accommodate both so we can all attend both parties. So probably the week of, maybe the 3rd week of December, we'll keep you guys updated as far as those dates go. We're going to host an interactive game and networking event with raffle prizes. And tickets to this event will be sponsored by APWA, and all we ask is a small donation, and if you're able to give, and 100% of the proceeds will go to St. Mary's Food Bank. If you or your company is interested in donating a gift card for our raffle prize, please reach out to myself, Sheila Hamilton, or Stu Waller, our events committee chair. Also, we have our call for nominations for our various APWA chapter awards, including projects, peer recognitions, and they are due January 28th. So for more information on that, that's also found on our website. Also coming up soon for our young members, we have a YP group that's 35 and younger. We have an event coming up on December 3rd. Again, that's another free virtual event. You can sign up on our website. Actually, you can RSVP to Corey Steele. That information is below, but the information is also on our website to sign up. And we'll be talking about private development and public review, as well as some time just to network with each other and get to know some of your other younger members. And then also we typically allow, if there's any agencies who want to give any project updates, please state so in the chat box, but and we can unmute you, but I am not seeing anybody this time around. So if you do and you want to do some agency updates at the very end, just say so in the chat box and we'll give you that opportunity as well. So I'll hand it over to Stephanie for the ASCE update.
Great. We just have a couple of slides here. I'm Stephanie Templeton. I'm the current president of ASCE Phoenix branch. As of October 1st, we rolled over and we have new branch officers. So these are all of our new officers for this fiscal year. Please reach out to any of us with any questions that you may have. We're all here to help. For our holiday party, like Kristen said, we're having a holiday party on December 15th, 5 p.m. It's going to be virtual. It'll be co-hosted with our Phoenix younger member group of ASCE. We're going to do some games and have an ugly sweater photo contest. So there will be directions to register online in our email news blast. So look for that. After this presentation, anybody registered with ASCE will be emailed a PDH if you're in attendance. So look for that email. It comes to you guys. We also are going to have some awards that are coming up for project of the year, both smaller and larger projects, as well as civil government engineer of the year. So look for more information in the news blast for that. And just a big thanks again to our sponsor, Keller, for being a 2020 sponsor for ASCE. And if you or your company would like to sponsor ASCE events, please reach out to me. Thanks so much. Turn it back over to Kirsten.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thank you. All right, so today we have 3 speakers for today's topic, the future of transportation. And our first speaker today is Jose Aguilar, who will be giving us an overview of the ASCE 2020 Infrastructure Report Card. Jose is a project manager in aviation and transportation at WSP USA in Tucson, and Jose is the incoming president-elect of ASCE Arizona section and led the report card committee as chair. His passion for providing high quality and forward-thinking solutions inspired him to lead the Arizona Infrastructure Report Card to provide a tool for politicians and the general public in regards to the state of our infrastructure. In his spare time, if there is any, you can find him flying a drone, hiking, or traveling, which recently has been replaced with watching Netflix shows about traveling. So welcome, Jose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction, and thank you for inviting me for today's presentation. I'm super happy to share with you all the findings of our 2020 report card. So everyone can see my screen, correct? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So Kristen already gave a pretty good introduction about myself, so I feel like I can just breeze by this screen. But just briefly over, my name is Jose Aguilar. I'm done in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm the Arizona section president-elect for ASCE, and I was lucky to be the report card chair. So the goal of the report card is to start the conversation, and that's at multiple levels. It's not only at the political level, but just in general, people need to know more about infrastructure and the state of it, right? I mean, it affects all of us. And now more than ever, our infrastructure is super important, right? We need to be washing our hands, so we need that clean water. We need our electricity to be able to be on Zoom calls like this, and infrastructure like Wi-Fi and that sort of thing. So that's all our infrastructure. And then we also need to get on the roads and get our groceries, go find and see if there's some toilet paper at the grocery stores and get those essential items. So it's just a really important thing that our infrastructure is up to par to what our needs are. And then this is something that I just like to include, is that sometimes the general public don't really understand how infrastructure plays into our daily lives. You know, even before I became a transportation engineer, I didn't really know all the thoughts that went into creating a road for people to use. And so people go to the grocery store, but they don't really know that, you know, aviation and agriculture and everything, our roads are part of getting that produce to your tables. So it's something that we need to make sure that people understand that, the benefits. And so it was a team effort. The report card was put together by over 19 volunteers and with some help from the DC office as well. So I just want to thank everybody that helped, and I do see some names on today's presentation. So So I just want to thank everybody that contributed to making the 2020 report card. And you see all these names on here. So the 2020 report card was actually released on September 16th, and typically we would release it at the Capitol, but this year we had to do it virtually, as everybody is aware. So we did it through Zoom, and so we had our release, and we're happy to share it. And this is going to be our new tool for the next upcoming years. For those of you that do not know, we did do a report card in 2015, and so this is the update on 2020. So 5 years later, we're going to find out to see if we've gotten better, gotten worse, or if we stayed the same. And it's based on a regular A through F scale, just like you would in school. And so these are our 2020 grades. So we got a GPA of a C. And so you can kind of see there's 9 different categories. And I'm going to jump into the next slide just to give some comparison and some baseline. So you can see the 2015 grades and then the 2020 grades, and then just seeing how we're doing compared to the rest of the nation. So you can see that we've gotten better in some categories like aviation and bridges. We've stayed the same in categories like dams, drinking water, and levees, and we've definitely have seen some lack of funding in rail, transit, and wastewater. So the good news is that we are doing better than the national grade. So we have a C, while the national grade is a D+. And the ASC National is actually working on the 2021 national report card. So we should see an update to that 2017. So I'm just going to go through a bit of the findings of the report card and go from there. So one of the major things that we notice is that, you know, Arizona is growing and quite rapidly. We're among the top 3 states in the country for raw population and percentage growth in the last 12 months. It actually increased by 1.7%. And so we currently count 7.3 million Arizonans, and it's you can see the graph it's going rapidly. Both Phoenix and Maricopa County have ranked first in fastest growing cities and counties. So we definitely need to be prepared for you know, our population increasing. So jumping on to the next one. So I'll go through and highlight a few of the findings from the report card. So in water, we have 16 billion in funding needs. And so that's something that water is super important and something that we as a state worry about, whether we will have water for the rest of our lives. And so that's something that we need to pay close attention to. And I'm going to jump on to the next one because there is a need, and one of the main reasons is that, you know, water companies are not raising their rates to, you know, account for inflation and all that good stuff. So in 2015, the average bill for water was 43.69 cents, and it only increased 6% to 46.09 cents by 2017. And as you can see, 46% of water companies have not updated the rates. And so that's just something that water companies need to be able to do so that they can, you know, work on their maintenance and growth of their water lines. So that's something to keep in mind. If you look at wastewater, there's a 50% of collection networks and 10% of treatment plants that require rehabilitation. And so that's up to 50% of the states that's meaning 50% that we need to take a look at and improve. And most of Arizona's 315 wastewater treatment plants are between 30 and 60 years old. And that's despite only having a design life cycle of 30 to 40 years. So we just need to pay close attention to our aging infrastructure. And also along the same lines of wastewater, there's a 1.4 billion funding gap over the next 5 years. And so that's something that we need to work towards and fulfill that gap and that need. The good news is that Arizonans are actually using less water than the average American. Over a year, Arizonan will use 53,000 gallons, where an average American will use 64,000 gallons. So that's something that we're doing all a good job on doing, whether that's not getting grass and that good stuff. So we do pay close attention to our water, and I think we preserve it well. If we look at airports, 17% of all jobs in Arizona are related to airports, directly or indirectly, and that's over 395,000 jobs. So airports are a huge source of jobs, and they also help in getting our goods across. So 7.6% of Arizona's gross domestic product come from airports and aviation, so we need to make sure that we have the right funding for our aviation projects. And there is some investment going on in there. So $1.5 billion are actually going into the terminal upgrade projects and SkyTrain extension. So if you've traveled or not, you've seen these updates to the airports. I'm currently working on a safety improvement program here in the Tucson airport. So we're definitely paying some good money into our airports, which is a great thing because it not only provides jobs, but it provides the goods throughout the state. And the good news is that everyone is 30 minutes away from an all-weather runway, and that's very important for services, not just being able to travel for leisure. It's also, we've been able to bring in, nurses for everything that's going on with the pandemic, and it just provides good resources to be able to be so close to an airport. All right, and this is something that all of us are probably not seeing as much because we're not driving that much, but before the pandemic, this is a very common thing to see in Phoenix, right? Being traffic, and there's been a 32% increase in the last 5 years in our roads. So we definitely need to expand. And as you see here in Tucson, there's a lot of road widenings, and so it's very important to put that money in there as well. And if we look at where our money is coming from, so $775 million come annually from the FAST Act, which it was very scary this year. It was about to expire on September 30th after 5 years, and it was actually extended for 1 year. And so the uncertainty definitely left a lot of organizations wondering what was going to come from the FAST Act, if it was going to come. And so it's something that we depend a lot on our federal funding. So one thing that we need to focus on is also making sure that we have state funding available so that we don't have to depend on the federal as much. So if you look at our gas tax, we have the 5th lowest in the country, which is a little bit surprising to hear. I mean, you look at California, they're charging 61 cents per gallon on gas tax, and we're only doing 19 cents. So we definitely need to increase that. And it was since 1991 since the gas tax was raised. And so you can kind of see some of the pictures or the movies that came out during that year. And more importantly, if you look at the gas efficiency of vehicles, it's gone up. And so we're using less and less gas. And if you look at electric vehicles, they're becoming more popular. Right now, it's about 15,000 vehicles are in Arizona. And that is expected to be 650,000 electric cars by 2038. So we know that that's the trend where everything is going. I know my next vehicle is going to be electric powered. So that's something that those owners are not providing anything for our roads, and they're using them. So we need to see how we can handle that. And because of the nature of our roads, and potholes are very common down here in Tucson, we are paying over $576 per driver annually, just because we need to, upkeep our car, getting new tires every year, that sort of thing. So we're paying for it in the end. And something that's pretty alarming is that in 2018, Arizona recorded 1.09 highway deaths per 100 million vehicle miles, and that's almost twice the national average of 0.58. So I know as for those transportation engineers, we are definitely, safety is one of our priorities, and so we need to make sure that we make our roads safe and see how we can improve. Dams and levees, those are something that people don't really think about because they don't become an issue until they fail, and they protect 345,000 people and about 60 billion in property. And something that the report found is that only 8% of levees are screened. And so we need to make sure that we screen all of our levees so that we can know the state of them and be able to prioritize which ones need our attention. Our dams are running on less than $1 billion per year. And so that's something that is required for inspection and manage the dam safety program. So we could definitely use some more money in dams. 164 are high hazard dams, which for those of you that know, this rating just means that it could cause destruction of property and potential loss of life if they were to fail. So it doesn't mean that they're in bad condition. They just mean that if they were to fail, it'd be a big problem. The good news is that 95% of Arizona's high hazard dams have an emergency action plan, and that's well above the national average. So that's some good news there. And in Arizona, not everything is bad news. So we do have some categories that are doing really well, and some of them are bridges. So there was only 1.6% were classified as poor. And so that's out of our 8,320 bridges that we have in our state. That's really good. The national average is 7.5% were classified as poor. So we're doing much better than the national. There's some great innovation. So you can see this picture. The city of Peoria is testing an autonomous shuttle service that is free to all. So we're definitely doing a lot of things in Arizona to keep up with technology and provide services to our citizens. The innovation construction methods is something that the accelerated bridge construction is a method that updates infrastructure while minimizing costs and impacts to the public. So it's always great to see new innovations. And there's room for growth. And I'll kind of breeze through these because I know I'm running a little bit of time. I don't want to eat out of everyone else's time. But just some key recommendations is to have a statewide asset database. That's very important to have because that lays down the groundwork for what needs our attention, and we can see what the different states our infrastructure is in. We need to adjust our tax structures that can keep up with inflation and our funding needs, and will also decrease our dependency on federal funding. We also need to educate the public. Educating the public gets the communities involved in infrastructure planning and provides an overall better product for us. Sustainability. So fourth is to accommodate the rapid growth of Arizona is experiencing, and we just need to incorporate sustainability principles to mitigate impacts to the quality of life for Arizona and the natural environment. And last but not least, Arizona needs to prioritize regular inspections across all sectors, but especially dams and levees where publicly available information is hard to come by. And I just wanted to leave you all with this. There is a call to action. Our job as putting together the report card is not just create it and then shelve it. We need to get it in front of people, and we need to, one, educate, two, connect with others, and continue the conversation. There are some great tools that ASE provides that you can become a key contact and be able to send this to your politicians. And it's a really easy tool. You just become a key contact. You get these emails that provides updates. So you don't have to be reading the news. It'll just do the homework for you and give you updates on what's going on in DC, what's going on at the state level. And you can take action just by a click of a button. So when you click take action, it'll give you already a set up letter that you can send to your representatives, and it'll use your zip code to find who your representatives are. And APWA also has some great tools. So if you look on their homepage, right at the bottom right, you see advocacy. And so I'm not too familiar with those tools, but I'm sure they're great ways to also get connected. There's a legislative fly-in that's happening in March of 2021. So if anybody's interested, feel free to ask me questions later on. Applications are due this Monday. So if you're interested, you can go to DC and talk to your legislators. And so we'll see, hoping that, COVID will be much under control by then. And so at the state level, we do have our legislative public affairs co-chairs, so Allison Sato and Caitlin Hall. So they're spearheading now the effort of getting it in front of legislators. So If you have any questions, these are our emails, and I highly encourage all of you to look at our full report. I talked about key recommendations, but there are recommendations for each chapter on how we can improve our grades in each category. So, and with that, I just want to thank you all.
Thank you very much, Jose. That's great. Thank you. Okay, moving into our next speaker, we have Eric Anderson, the Executive Director of the Maricopa Association of Governments, and he's here to speak about transportation from the MAG perspective. Over his career, Eric's work has focused on regional and urban growth, economic development, finance, and economic impact analysis. He's currently involved in a number of planning and research efforts related to technology, including autonomous and connected vehicles. Eric's a member of the Urban Land Institute Arizona Advisory Board, Lambda Alpha International, and the Board of Directors of the Arizona Transit Association. So you're also a busy guy, Eric. So welcome, and thank you for taking the time to give us an update from the MAG perspective. Thank you,
Kristen. Thank you, Kristen and Jose. Great job on the report card. It's something that we track on a regular basis. Those grades are going to go down because Arizona continues to underinvest in infrastructure across all the different kinds of infrastructure we have in the state. So Sheila, if we can go to the next slide, please. So I wanted to start, there we go, just talking a little bit about the COVID-19 impacts on traffic and kind of where we stand. We compare traffic volumes from March, the first week in March. So first week in March, the traffic is 100%. And you can see we bottomed out at about 60% of that level during the trough, during the trough of the shutdown. We're back up. You can see a slow increase. We're about 90% of where we were in the first week in March. But the other thing that's happened because of the change in commute patterns and telecommuting is such a bigger portion now, the time distribution of the traffic is quite a bit different than it was before. We go to the next slide. So we're looking at some of the long-term impacts of COVID. Obviously, telecommuting is going to be a big deal moving forward. We think that prior to the pandemic, we had 6 to 8% of the workforce telecommuting in any given day. That easily could double or more on a sustainable basis long-term, and it has really good positive benefits for our transportation systems. Small decreases in traffic volumes really result in much better performance from a system perspective. Of course, with lower levels of travel, though, we also are collecting lower levels of gas tax revenues, which fund a lot of the infrastructure, the roadway improvements in the state. Impact on public transportation systems, big decline. Bus ridership is down 50% plus. I was talking to my colleague in New York City. Their transit service is losing something like $1 billion a month, something like that. Just incredible numbers. How that's going to come back and when it's going to come back to pre-pandemic levels is really unknown. Demand on office space, obviously, if you have people working from home, it's going to reduce the long-term demand for office space, reduce business travel. Certainly we see that. It's really important for an economy like Phoenix, which is based on business and consumer travel. This could really be a long-term impact on our economy here. Obviously, we've seen a great impact in increased internet sales and local distribution. So we're reading about Amazon locating sub-regional distribution hubs here in the Valley. And then, long term, where will people choose to live? We're reading about people choosing to leave the high density urban cores for suburban locations. We'll see what happens to that long term. So I think it's way too early to draw any conclusions. We can go to the next slide. So the Phoenix metro area really has done a great job in investing in roadway infrastructure in particular, and in recent years in rail fixed guideway infrastructure for the transit program. So Metro Phoenix is one of the first areas in the country that levied a sales tax for transportation. That was done back in 1985. And what you're driving on today in terms of Loop 101 and Loop 202 and State Route 51 highways, those are largely funded out of regional taxes. And so just last November, we saw the opening of the South Mountain Freeway, completing the 202 loop, about a $1.7 billion investment. About 60% of that was funded out of by regional sources. And obviously the light rail program continues to expand too. So let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk through some of the projects that are currently underway. This is the Loop 101 widening project from Princess Drive in Scottsdale all the way to I-17, basically adding a general purpose lane in each direction, hopefully fixing some of the bottlenecks along the way, especially the section of 101 from the State Route 51 to Cave Creek Road. Really is a nasty congestion point. And some improvements at Tata Boulevard too should help traffic flow. That's due to be completed this spring, so look forward to that. Go to the next slide. Just getting underway out in the far southeast part of the valley is an extension of State Route 24 from Ellsworth Road to Ironwood. Ironwood is actually in Pinal County. What's great about this project, it'll provide another north-south connection in Pinal County for those people that live out in Santan Valley. So they can come up Ironwood, hit State Route 24 and get on the Santan Freeway from there. This project will also include grade separations of State Route 24 at Ellsworth Road. And those of you who are familiar with the Southeast Valley and Ellsworth Road congestion is really bad. And so this really will help to eliminate some of that cross traffic on Ellsworth Road. Go to the next slide. Big project coming up. I'm going to spend some time talking about this. Broadway Curve, about a $700 million plus or minus project. Extensive improvements. This project has been cooking for a number of years now. We think we have the various improvement components figured out now that will result in significantly better traffic conditions around the Broadway Curve. You see the different components there. In interest of time, I'm not going to go through some of those. But if we can go to the next slide, just to summarize, ADOT's going to be taking down 3 bridges over I-10, and that's the Broadway Road and 48th Street. So it'll involve 4 years of construction work. 5 bridges will probably be constructed. That could vary depending on, this is a design build project, so that may change. And I think the important point is maybe up to 50 potential weekend closures for I-10. They committed to not close it in both directions, but still it's going to create quite a bit of traffic issues in that area. We go to the next slide. So to get ahead of that, for the last year, actually, we've been working on a number of different aspects to get ready for this project. One is we did a fairly sophisticated traffic operational analysis, looking at what happens as different sections of I-10 are either restricted or closed down. Where will that traffic go? So we're working with Phoenix and Tempe primarily on the adjacent arterial street systems to make sure that the streets and the traffic control systems are up to snuff to carry the additional traffic. So we're doing that on a preemptive basis now. So we need to make improvements. We have time to do that before construction starts. Go to the next one. We've also worked with Valley Metro, looking at how can we use transit to mitigate some of the impacts, maybe enhance van pool or carpool programs, alternative commutes. Obviously, people are going to be looking for alternative routing messages too. Go to the next slide. As part of that, we actually developed through the Texas Transportation Institute, I think it's coming up here. There it goes. Strategic communications plan, which not only outlined how the project will communicate with the public and stakeholders in the corridor, but also very importantly, roles and responsibilities. And so you have ADOT and MAG obviously involved in this project. You also have the development team who's actually designing and building the project. And then you have ADOT's general engineering consultant on board too. And so we went through a very rigorous exercise to make sure everybody understood what their different roles and responsibilities were in the project. Go to the next slide. So some of the ways to stay connected. Go to the next slide. And I just wanted to talk about next steps. So you'll see we're right in November 2020. The preferred proposer development team has been selected. Negotiations are underway as we speak. And so design and construction will start next year with expected completion date in 2024. Go to the next slide. In addition to the roadway construction, there are 3 light rail projects either under construction or about to begin. The final elements of the Tempe streetcar, South Central, extending light rail from downtown Phoenix down to Baseline. It's on Central Avenue, and also extension from downtown out to the Capitol complex. In addition, out in the Metro Center area, there's a project that's going to extend the rail from 19th and Dunlap. Kind of does a jog in there, but on the Mountain View alignment, it crosses I-17, will touch down on the soon to be redeveloped Metro Center. And so there'll be a light rail station west of I-17 as part of that project too. Go to the next slide. So we're working hard right now in partnership with ADOT as well as the Gila River Indian community on laying out the proposed improvements for the section of I-10 between Phoenix and Casa Grande. Due to be completed this spring, they're in the public comment period right now. And once again, this is a vitally needed project. This is the last section of I-10 that has been widened from the 2 lanes in each direction. So significant safety issues in this whole section. But go ahead, go to the next slide. Very importantly, this kind of goes with what Jose was saying, that Arizona hasn't raised the gas tax since 1991. And so this is a comparison that shows the best-selling car in 1991 was the Ford Taurus. And you compare that to the best-selling car today, which is the Honda Civic. The Honda Civic today is contributing 70% less in gas tax revenues than that Ford Taurus did in 1991, if you take account of increased fuel economy and inflation that's happened over those years. And so you can see from $95 for 10,000 miles driven to only $51 from the Honda Civic. So how do we maintain our roads with a shrinking revenue source? It doesn't work. Go to the next slide. Excuse me. So at MAG, we are right now in the throes developing a new investment plan for the extension of Prop 400. We're tentatively targeting November of 2022 for a possible election to ask the voters to extend the sales tax for another 20 years. There is some discussion about perhaps we need to go higher than a half cent. Especially when you look at our public transportation system that serves the region here. We're really terribly underfunded in terms of the investments we're making in public transportation relative to our peers. And our peers, Salt Lake, Denver, Houston, Seattle, Portland, you name it. Most transit metro areas have transit properties that are collecting at least one cent sales tax or more to fund their public transportation system. We're funding it with a 1/3 of a half cent, and that's 17% for those of you who are math challenged. So we have a lot of work to do, and funding is really paramount, not only in this region but statewide. Once again, we have to have higher levels of investment in our infrastructure, or those grades that Jose went through are going to continue to degrade. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. That was a very comprehensive update. That was great. Thank you. Okay, next on our list is Heather. Thanks, Heather, for joining us. Heather Shelbrack is the Public Information Manager at the City of Phoenix Aviation Department, and she's going to speak to us about transportation from the Phoenix aviation perspective. Heather is responsible for overseeing the media relations and department websites, social media, video production, and the printed material. Heather has worked in the aviation department since 2007, and her previous work includes corporate communications for a financial services company and an airline. She holds a bachelor's degree in telecommunications and history from Indiana University and a master's degree in communications from Johns Hopkins University. Heather is the chair of the Advisory Council for USO Arizona, as well as a member of the Airports Council International, North America's Marketing and Communications Steering Group. So thank you, Heather, for joining us today. We're excited to hear about you speak about the Phoenix Sky Harbor.
Thanks, Kristen. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be sharing some information about our two major capital investment projects, the Stage 2 of the Phoenix SkyTrain, as well as our 8th concourse at Terminal 4. And I will be sharing some information about our Phoenix Here For You campaign that we put into place to reassure confidence among travelers as they begin traveling again. So our first project is the Phoenix SkyTrain project, Stage 2. This will extend the SkyTrain from the rental car center from the terminals to the rental car center. We'll be adding about 2.5 miles. And when it's complete in 2022, it will take 13 minutes to travel between the rental car center to the 44th Street and Washington Station. So it will go between 44th Street, East Economy Parking, Terminals 3 and 4, and we'll be adding another station at 24th Street and then to the rental car center. The total cost of the project is $745 million, and it will be paid for with rental car center and user fees. No local tax dollars are used. So you'll see here is the route. Again, it starts at the Stage 2 starts at Terminal 3. We're building in a future station, even though that's on hold right now due to COVID and passenger traffic, but we have planned for a future station and a future taxiway crossing. But we are still moving forward with our 24th Street station at 24th Street and Buckeye, and I'll show some images of that here in a moment. But if you've been to the airport recently or even just driven by, you'll see a lot of construction and a brand new station on the west side of the airport. And then the route will continue into our rental car center. So here's some images. We have the design image of our rental car center station as well as the construction image, and that's coming along, and it'll make it a lot easier for travelers to get between the terminals and the rental car center. Currently, they have to use a shuttle bus, and when it opens in 2022, they can just hop aboard the SkyTrain and be to the rental car center in a matter of minutes, and it'll also reduce roadway congestion along Sky Harbor Boulevard. Here's an aerial photo of the rental car center station and the guideway coming into the rental car center. And then the other photo is one at the rental car center station as well, but we've added lighting to the station. So when we have special events, we can change the color of the lighting, whether that's for the holidays or for a commemorative month. Additionally, these are some images, a design image and construction image inside our rental car center station. And you can see here the platform for boarding. And this is just another design image and renderings of what the inside of the rental car center station will look like. And then this is our 24th Street station that's under construction. And next to it, you'll see an image of the guideway. Our guideway construction is actually nearing completion. And starting next year, we will begin testing on the train cars on the tracks. So we'll be testing for about a year, and then we'll open up in 2022. And then this is just another design image of our 24th Street station with the construction image of it in progress. And then here's another view. The 24th Street station is located at 24th Street and Buckeye. It's actually right behind the Aviation Department's corporate office building. And we will be adding a parking facility to the station as well. So this will be very helpful for travelers coming in from the west side. They'll be able to come right into the airport, park, hop aboard the SkyTrain, and be to the terminals in a matter of minutes. And then in October, we marked an exciting occasion. We received cars 19 and 20 for the stage 2. These are the first 2 cars as part of this next stage, and we're anticipating to receive about 24 more. They came from Bombardier's plant in Pittsburgh. And so we will be adding those to the system next year. And once the system opens, we will move from a 2 train car format to a 3 train car format. So having 3 cars coming in and out of the stations instead of 2. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about our 8th concourse project. This is at Terminal 4. It'll be our final concourse. We're adding 8 new gates. They will be occupied by Southwest Airlines. And this project will be complete in 2022 as well. It's about $310 million. And it will also add a new connector bridge between the A gates and the D gates. So currently you have to walk all the way around if you're trying to get from the A gates to the D gates. And with this, you'll be able to get between the A gates and D gates more easily. We're also adding all new shops and restaurants, and it'll have great views and state-of-the-art technology. And you can see here's an overview of Terminal 4. You'll see at the north, there's our 4 concourses, the A and B concourses. And then at the south, we have the 2 C concourses, S3 and S4. And the current D concourse, gates D1 to D8, is the S2 concourse. And this new 8-gate concourse will be to the west of that. And we're also expanding our security checkpoint and making some enhancements there. So it'll be easier for travelers to get through the checkpoint. And then this is just a bird's eye view of the design rendering of what it's going to look like. And you'll see here that it's, again, this is west of the current existing D concourse. And then we also have the design image above with ongoing construction images. You'll see the construction has really progressed over the past few months, and we're excited to get this complete and welcome travelers. Again, some additional construction images. And then this is just some images of the connector bridge over Sky Harbor Boulevard. So if you've come to the airport recently or driven through, you'll notice that we have some construction along Sky Harbor Boulevard. And this is as we build that bridge that'll connect the A and D gates. One of the questions that we've been asked many times since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic is what our impacts have been in terms of to our construction. And we haven't had any impacts to our SkyTrain Stage 2 construction or to the 8th concourse at Terminal 4 construction. We're also in the process of demolishing Terminal 2 and relocating the famous Paul Coase mural as well. There's been no impacts to any of those projects. They're on time and on budget, but we have had to defer 37 non-essential projects until things kind of return to normal and our passenger traffic improves. And these projects are a variety of projects such as relocating certain aviation department facilities. One of the other things I wanted to tell you about today is our Phoenix Here For You campaign. Our goal is really to promote the health and safety. It's a top priority for us. And as more travelers start to return to the airport, we wanted to make sure that they were confident in what we're doing to keep them safe. And so we have a variety of initiatives. I have a sign pictured here. You'll kind of see what we have up in the airport. We require travelers and employees to wear masks. And we also have targeted signage throughout the airport, whether that's at ticketing, security checkpoints, in the gate areas, that explains what we're doing and what they can do. So depending on where they are, there's different information about if you're going through security, use a mobile boarding pass. And then because we have the requirement to wear a mask, we have bins near the security checkpoint that you can pick up a mask if you need it, or you can purchase one at a retail store or at our PPE vending machines, or ask for one free at our information counters. Additionally, since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had a robust cleaning schedule, cleaning high-touch areas on a frequent basis, but we've also added a variety of other initiatives, such as UVC LED lighting. This summer, we added 7 of these lights to our escalators in Terminals 3 and 4, and recently we've added additional 7 lights to Terminals 3 and 4. And this is underneath the escalator handrails, and it just serves to sanitize those handrails on a 24-hour basis, killing bacteria. We've also installed plexiglass throughout the airport at our information counters, at ticketing, at security checkpoints. We're encouraging social distancing with distance dots on our floors. And we have an air filtration system that brings in more filtered air outside into the inside. And finally, if you want to keep up to date on everything that's happening at Sky Harbor, in September, we launched a new online newsletter called the Phoenix Check-In. It's available on our website, or you can sign up and receive it right to your inbox. We include information about construction updates, new routes. We've launched many new routes over the past few weeks, parking promotions, various photos, holiday specials, and much more. And if you want to follow us on a more regular basis, you can follow us on our 7 social media channels: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, as well as Snapchat. And that's at PHX Sky Harbor. And if you have any customer questions or comments, you can always email us or text us or call us. We're available 24 hours. And thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Heather. You guys have a lot going on. It'll be a totally different airport next time I go visit.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So thank you guys to all the speakers today. I did not see any questions come up, which is surprising. So you guys gave some very comprehensive presentations today. I had a quick question for Jose on the infrastructure report card. Do you, and maybe you mentioned this earlier, but do you compare it to 2015 to see how we're doing, and then what recommendations, if it's, you know, gotten worse, on what the next steps are, or where we can easily see if it got better over the 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to turn on my video, but it looks like I was banned from my video. But yeah, so we do take a look at 2015 as our baseline. And so as we were looking in at each category, we have the same amount of categories. And so that's something that we definitely consider. And we look at, you know, the 2015. We also take a look at the national, but it's mainly the state one that we look at, so that we can compare as far as funding, if we've gotten better, if our needs are increasing or decreasing. And so from the volunteers, they definitely took a deep dive into it. And a lot of it comes from reports that, you know, continue to come out. And so we look at all of the new updates to that those reports get throughout the years. And so we try to get the latest data, which is sometimes hard to find.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions, but this presentation is being recorded, and we'll post it on the group's website when it's available, so you can go back and refer to it if you need to. So I'd like to thank all of the panel members today. Thank you guys, thanks to the speakers, and thank you for joining us all today. And for APWA members, just note there's not a luncheon for December, and in lieu, we're gonna have our holiday event. So please look out for more details coming on our website, and we'll have an email blast on that. And Stephanie, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, the same thing. We won't have a event on December for the ASCE branch, but we will have our holiday event. And thank you, everyone, for a great presentation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Thanks.